Today we're going to talk about legal templates / legal documents and your website and what you need and a little bit about what they mean. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. This week, I'm going to keep it much lighter than last week. I feel like it was just a heavier episode, not only for, listening, but also on my end as far as recording goes. So this week I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter and talk about something that I am asked about pretty regularly. And I'll get to my disclaimer in a second. But before then, business life updates, nothing really to report. Same old business stuff. I can't believe it's August. Because it's August, I'm looking ahead. I'm looking at December. I'm looking at January, because what ends up happening in the fall is there is never a fall season where it doesn't come with a bunch of inquiries. So I am looking at my schedule and setting everything accordingly now, so that way I know exactly what I do and don't have open. The biggest thing is just knowing that I have, at this point, most of my business is just my retainer clients. So I have my retainer clients who, some of them have been with me since 2021, which if any of you listen to this, thank you. And I am just so grateful. So I very rarely have openings on my retainer. And I mean, it's because my folks just stay with me forever. And I actually was talking about this with one of my other, a lecturer mine, and she's also a retainer client as well. But, we were talking and I was just like, she was like, I know how to do everything in my business. And like, that is the goal, right? Like, I want everyone to know how to do everything in their business. And then people bring me on or outsource things in their business that they no longer want to do, or they do have the time, but they don't want to have the time because that time could be better utilized elsewhere. But the best thing, sorry, I just whacked my mic with my key. But the best thing is that everyone knows how to do everything in their business as far as like what they're actually outsourcing, which is such a dream, right? Because they know the time that it takes to do the things. And anyway, so just know if I would say 85% of my business at this point is my retainer clients and all the work that I do for them. So if you are looking for coaching calls or discovery calls or websites, I am booking into October and November. And excuse me, November, why I'm not entirely sure I'm going to have a website open. Again, I'm looking at my calendar ahead of time. I have not officially nailed it down, because December is always one of those months where I actually choose to do a long vacation, December, January. It's just a staycation, if you will, but I take a bunch of time off, and I honestly am just like, how am I already planning for this already? Years just go by so fast. So it's great. And also time just sneaks up on you. So just be aware of where you're at, needs you may have. If you want to work together, get the process started as soon as possible. Other than that, really nothing else to report. We have not started Ted Lasso yet. Ted Lasso came back, and super excited about that. But we're currently finishing the Bear. So we started the Bear probably 2 weeks ago and are now on the series finale. I actually think we're on the very, very last episode right now. So that's really exciting. It was a really good show. We'll say, I had a client who was going back and forth with me in my email about how, the first season there was so much yelling and so much chaos that it just I almost stopped listening, and I was like, actually, yes, 110%. The first episode was so yelly and definitely put me in a place where I was like, I don't know if I can watch this. And after working in the restaurant industry for 10 plus years in like various positions, I was like, yeah, this is very much so reminding me of why exactly I didn't love that job. Or those jobs, and it was very much so not sustainable for a long period of time, at least not for me. It just like was so activating for my nervous system. But The Bear ended up being a really good show, and we're definitely happy that we watched it. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about legal documents and your website. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm not a lawyer. Point blank, period. So anything I say here, I have either heard from a lawyer, or I am familiar with because I design websites. But here's the thing. This is not legal advice. Like, full disclaimer, this is not legal advice. I am telling you things that I have come across and what I would recommend you think about investing in. If you have a lawyer, consult with them. If you are thinking about getting these specific documents that I'm talking about, I will be mentioning affiliate links that I have. Consult your own, find your own. You don't have to use mine. You can make sure you go double check all of this information. Whatever you need to do, please do whatever you have to do for fulfilling the legal side of your website and the documents that you should have. And just know that my goal today is to just make you aware of it, not to force you to do anything, not to change the way that you're doing things, but I just want to make it so that you know the information and you know where you can go if you need to learn more, and then going from there. So let's talk about, we're going to talk about 3 different documents, actually 4 different documents. Talk about 4 different documents. So when it comes to your website, there are different documents that you need / should, quote unquote, should have on your website. And when it comes down to it, the legal documents, yes, they protect you, but they also protect the person who's coming to your website, right? So there are lots of different templates that you can have for legal terms. Like, as an example, I have a course terms and conditions on my website because if someone buys a course from me, I have specific terms and conditions that they're agreeing to when they buy a course from me. Basically, if we're thinking about what does that say, well, it's when someone buys a course from you, they're agreeing that they're not going to sell it for, and make money themselves. They're not going to copy the content. They're not going to disperse the content. They're not going to share their login, all the things, right? So there are different templates that I recommend for websites based on what I know from lawyers and what is just known as like a general, I'll just say awareness. So the first one that we're going to talk about is a privacy policy. So a privacy policy, which is different than a HIPAA privacy policy, my friends, a website privacy policy. When it comes to a website privacy policy, that is essentially protecting the person who's coming to your website. So what this means is it's data privacy, right? And you're telling people that you're not going to share their information, and you're telling your people how you use their information. That one is legally required. So when you have a website, you need to have a privacy policy. And I will say, especially if you are running ads or if you're tracking visitor behavior, which you all are, you just don't know that you are. IP addresses are being tracked all the time. If you have a Google Analytics account, like, you are tracking things, even if you don't purposely do it, it is tracking things. So a privacy policy is one that's legally required, and I highly, highly recommend that you have one. And again, I will give you links to folks that I recommend and where I would recommend that you buy things, but also you can go and invest in one with your lawyer. You don't have to choose to work with the folks that I recommend. So Privacy policy is the first one. It protects the people and it tells them, and it tells your website visitors what type of personal info you collect from them, how you're going to use it or how you use it. And then there's also a part in there, it's like, what you will do if they ask you to get rid of it. And you really, really need one. And the thing is privacy policies, if you don't have one, that would be my first investment, right? Because that one, if you have a contact page where you take people's info, like you need to have this, and everybody I feel like has this. So if you're going to invest in one of these, I would say get that one. The next one we're going to talk about is a terms and conditions. So website terms and conditions. This is essentially protecting you, where you tell people how they're allowed to behave on your website. That's such a boiled down version, but that is how I like to describe it. So this one technically protects your stuff. So you're just saying, by visiting my website, you agree to these things. That one is not legally required, but highly recommended because you're protecting yourself. The next one I'm going to talk about is a medical disclaimer. So this one here is about if people come to your website and they read your blog post and you don't want them to take what you're saying in that blog post as, let's just say as law or medical advice, you can tell them this is for educational purposes only. And they will be able to get that content, and they're not able to say, well, I read it on your blog, so that's us determining that we now have a relationship and you're my PT, even though we don't even know each other. So you're basically just saying, you know what, here is exactly what this information is to you, and boiled down, it's just, this is educational material, not medical advice. And that one, I find that a lot of people like to have on their website if they're running a blog and they're just writing a lot of medical-based content on their blog, and they're nervous that people will take it and assume it's medical advice. And rightfully so. Like, I get it. If I was publishing healthcare content, I would certainly have one on my website as well, just to protect myself, or CYA, as we like to say. So I would definitely recommend that. The last one we're going to talk about is kind of an interesting one. So the affiliate links that I'm going to give you, I'll give you a couple of options, but one of them is Sam Vander Wielen, and she has an accessibility template, which is a wonderful thing. So website accessibility is becoming a little bit more of like a thing, if you will, that people are getting letters about. I don't want to say a lawsuit because that's not really the verbiage that was used, but Sam came into my inner circle and told them, here's what I'm seeing in the legal world. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you can do. And I thought it was really helpful because a lot of people are walking around thinking like people can just sue you for accessibility. And honestly, it seems like they kind of can, because there's no strict rule and there's no real guidelines that you can follow. So one of the things that I'm just, I have heard recommended from multiple sources is that you have to do your due diligence to make sure your website is accessible, of course. So there are different ways you can do that. But one of the easiest ones is, of course, to, have text that is readable, have text that is big enough, have black or dark text on light backgrounds, and then vice versa, have light text on dark backgrounds. But then there are two other things that you can also have. Number one is an accessibility template that Sam actually has one, like I mentioned. And that accessibility statement is just saying, I am doing the best that I can, and I have made my website as accessible as possible. I care about accessibility. If you have difficulty or if you need more assistance, please let me know. And that's just a legal document that you have on your site. And then another thing that you can have, there are multiple options. I use one from ElfSite. So if you've ever gone to my website, you'll see a little plugin that's an accessibility plugin. And I can give you, again, an affiliate link in the show notes. But there's a plugin for ElfSite, And then Sam also recommended a different one called UserWay. So I'll put that link in the show notes as well. But when it comes down to making your website accessible, the most unfortunate part is that because there aren't these hard and fast rules, you can't say like, I have an accessible website, and I can't tell you that I design accessible websites, because you can change your website at any point in time, right? So I can't be like, I'm going to design you an accessible website and then hand over the website to you, because then you can change it at any point in time. So accessibility, it's kind of like this big nuanced thing where folks who can afford to hire a lawyer are apparently hiring lawyers and then just sending out letters to small businesses saying that their websites are not accessible. But at the end of the day, again, I am not giving you legal advice here, but I would say if you're able to do the basic things where you're using your alt text on your photos, you're making sure that your font is legible, your text is big enough, your colors are visible, and then you're also saying in that legal statement, the accessibility statement, you're saying, hey, look, I care about this and I want to help you. If you need help, let me know. And if you go above and beyond and have an accessibility plugin on your website, that's amazing. So again, just kind of covering your bases and making sure that you have everything, for lack of better terms, covered. And CYA, you're just covering yourself here. And you're also showing that you care and you want people to be able to access the things that you're giving to them and providing for them. So those are the 4 legal documents that I wanted to talk about, because those are the 4 that I see being needed by most folks. If you sell courses, you may also want a course purchase terms and conditions, because that is also something that I see as being people don't have that. And then you're not able to say, well, I had said that if you buy my course, you can't copy it. Well, if you don't have the legal documents to say that, then you really haven't said that. So it's just one of those things where you can start to add it into your content and into your courses and what have you. Like I have added it as a module in my SEO school. And then from there, you can also just have a statement on your website discussing all of this stuff. All right. So again, if you're going to invest in one thing, I would say the privacy policy is your top priority because it is legally required. When I say legally required, I am talking about the United States. Again, I don't know if the legality is the same in other countries. I will not pretend to know that. And again, I'm still not telling you this is legal advice. These are things that I have been aware of / told over the course of the years. And if you want accurate legal advice, please consult your own lawyer or go consult the lawyers that I am recommending in the show notes because they're great. But that would be where I start with the privacy policy. And then from there, I honestly would look at, over time, I would put it in your budget to get the rest of the legal templates, and use whoever you want. I would say do not use AI. Like I find that to be it's crazy to me. I feel like just go write your own at that point, but I would go pay something, whether it's a template from one of these lawyers that I recommend, or you hire your own lawyer, get it actually legally developed so that it holds up and it actually provides you the protection that you're paying for. But I would look into putting the rest of the templates into your budget so that you can essentially have everything you need and take care of that side. Like it just feels like that side is such a low-hanging fruit to take care of. And it feels like it is so important, but I do think that it's kind of brushed off a little bit too much. And when I just don't think that's very advantageous to anyone to brush that off. And again, it's not cheap to hire a lawyer. It's not cheap to buy the website templates. But again, it's also not, it feels to me like almost a non-negotiable because it protects you, it protects your clients. And while it does not give you an immediate ROI or any ROI at all, it does cover the bases that you need. And it feels to me like if you're going to have a business, this is just one of those things you deal with, like payment processing fees. Like it's important and we have to embrace that as a business owner. Now, if you want to incorporate these on your website, all I like to do is create a new blank page with a title of the policy, so privacy policy, and then I'll put one section with the privacy policy pasted in it. And that's how I will put these on websites. So if you're looking to incorporate them on your website, that's it. And then just link to the documents from your footer, and that will take care of the job. You're linking to them in your footer. And then if you decide to go forward with like course terms and conditions, you can ask how that should be displayed in your course. Ask a lawyer how that should be displayed. And then you can also have your course purchase terms and conditions linked in any carts that you have people use to buy your stuff. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this one. Super tactical one as far as like just go take care of the things. I will give you links to multiple different folks in the show notes. And again, use who you prefer. If you have your own lawyer, then please use them. And if you decide to get your legal templates or legal documents and want to add them to your site, you're just adding them as a new page and linking to them from your footer. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.